I'm recording, and now you're gonna record in 3, 2, 1, record.
Okay, so let me tell you a tale and bullshit. Yes, it is. Yes, that MDev Mech is back. MDev Mech is back in Sioux Falls, which means he has an entire bottle of Absolute Vodka in his system right now. So get ready for a ride.
Now you are M. Doofmech.
I am M. Doofmech. I'm not NyQuil Mech. I am M. Doofmech. You know, in polite society, we would call that you have an addiction, but here we just say that's normal.
Here we just say that's just what M. Doofmech does when he gets home.
Yeah. When I'm on the podcast, I'm like, you know what? In order to have people recognize me as talented and influential, I need to have chemicals in my bloodstream to affect the neurological pathways in my brain. I don't even know if alcohol does that, but I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, so I can spew some fucking metaphysical bullshits. You know, one of these days, let me tell you something bullshit. One of these days, if we ever become famous enough... Okay, sorry about that. Another Discord server did an @everyone, so fuck them. You know, if you do @everyone on Discord, you're a dickhead.
You're a fucking piece of shit and get out.
Yeah, it's like it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm hooked up to over 50 Discord servers. You know, it's not my fault. When you @everyone, you're a piece of shit. What I want to say, if we ever become famous enough, and we're getting there, you know, we're getting about 70 to 80 views with each podcast we post up on YouTube.
We're getting a good solid 2 or 3 listeners listening 40
yeah,
times each.
It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, if we ever get like famous enough to where we can have like Alex Jones on our podcast. Oh boy, howdy, that's going to be a podcast episode. I imagine if we ever had Alex Jones on as a guest, that he would just be pointing a gun at the laptop. Because that's the latest meme, because I guess in one of his recent Prison Planet or Infowars episodes, it has him pointing a revolver at his like TV screen that he has off to the side. So people have been like screen capping that and adding in their own things of what he's pointing his gun at. And it's like, you know, Alex Jones promotes some really bullshit things. Like, he promotes bad science and really bad things, but I gotta hand it to him. He's been really cool about the whole meme thing. Like, he knows about all the memes that have been made about him, and he is totally cool with all of them. You know, and you know, he's a purveyor of bullshit, but I gotta give him credit for that. That
you gotta give him credit. He is entertaining, and that has worked for him.
Yes, that's worked for him very, very well, and
very well, yeah.
I guess, and he's been dealing with a recent copyright case, and in the copyright, like, his lawyer has stated that yes, he puts on a character for Infowars and Prison Planet, and yeah, and everybody is like, yeah, and everybody is like, well, no shit. Well, no shit. That's what he's been doing. Yeah. Other than that, I guess a new. I know you're aware of it in bullshit, but maybe our listeners haven't been aware of it. But there's been a recent series of propaganda cartoons from North Korea. Called Hedgehog and Squirrel. And the reason
I have seen these.
Yes, and you probably know what I'm about to talk about. Well, they're they're pretty bad cartoons. They've been going on since like the 60s, but they've gone through various production houses in North Korea and stuff. But recently, a new character has been presented in them, and that's the American Lieutenant, which is a very vixen-y fox, a very female vixen fox, and well, I've decided to task myself with drawing artwork of this character, which is what I'm doing right now. And actually,
and if you want the most up-to-date and accurate information on Squirrel and Hedgehog, you'll actually want to refer yourself to the Wikifur article for the show.
Yeah,
because there is one.
Well,
and it's very detailed and lovingly put together.
Yeah, so there's basically three groups who are obsessed with this cartoon, and you can break them down to the characters in the show. The first group are like the cub, sort of lolicon, sort of cub lovers, and they do artwork of Squirrel and Hedgehog. And then you have the sort of bara kinksters and fetishizers, and they go for the American General, which is this big buff wolf and stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, and then you have everybody else, and I'm firmly in the everybody else group, who is just like, I don't give a shit about all this propaganda and nonsense. I just that American Lieutenant Vixen is just quality Rule 34. Yeah, that's the laugh I have. Is just like
Lieutenant Fox, I believe, is the name of the character.
Yeah, I'm just like Lieutenant Fox. But I decided to spice it up. I decided in this little thing I'm drawing right now on my iPad Pro. No sponsorship from Apple. Fuck you, Apple. Yeah, sponsor me, Apple. I draw porn on your iPad Pro. Yeah, I've combined Lieutenant Fox with Braxton from Pokemon.
Of course, because it's begging for that crossover.
Well, you do know that the Pokken tournament champion played Braxton strictly so that she would get more exposure, so that way she would get more Rule 34 drawn of her.
Of course. Yeah, fuck you, Nintendo.
Your shit ain't, you
ain't fooling nobody.
You ain't fooling nobody. You give a fox starter Pokemon, you make him Anthro and give him thick hips. You're just fucking asking for it.
You know what you're doing.
You know what you're
doing.
You know exactly what the fuck you're doing. Goddamn fucking magical girl, fucking showing off those thick black hips. God damn it. Fuck.
I just discovered there is in fact in e621.net a tag for Lieutenant Fox Vixen.
Oh yeah, it's a very, yeah, I would say that Lieutenant Fox has a very, very large fan base here in the West. In
fact, let me put this into perspective here. I'm looking at the related tags here on E621 here, and if you search for Lieutenant Fox Vixen and you go to that tag, there are 119 posts tagged with that character. And if you go for the show tag, Squirrel and Hedgehog, there are 126 pictures total. So in essence, on E621, in terms of the tags, there were only 7 pictures related to this cartoon that aren't of Lieutenant Fox Vixen.
Dude, oh man, oh my god, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of holy shit.
I'm gonna.
Oh my god, VHS Die did. Oh god, her ass is fucking gigantic.
I'm gonna link this in our meta shit segment just because for context.
Yeah,
context and science.
Yeah, and if you're not following VHS Die on either Fur Affinity or Tumblr, you're missing out because holy shit, that ass is just fucking massive. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, people really. Holy shit, people really do
really like this character. And it's weird because I hadn't actually heard of this cartoon until like maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's literally just because of the uptick in talk about North Korea in the past, few days.
I like this one that just this has her with her spread eagle and her pussy just out presented with the for some reason the North Korean flag behind her, and it just says, "I order you to fuck me." And it's like, well, shouldn't the flag behind you be the American flag? Because aren't you supposed to be American?
Yeah.
But who cares? Yeah, I was going to talk about how, because fun facts, I've kind of decided to just completely drop out of the whole commentary on the current political situation and the social situation. I'm sure you're fully aware of what's going on right now in bullshit, like...
Oh, I am aware. I'm just not talking about it.
Yeah. So I just sort of decided to drop out completely, but the reason I have is because, well, something I don't really talk about just because it wasn't really relevant until very recently was... I had a very, 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 very small part in the development of the Moab, which, if you're if you've been aware of what's been going on in recent news, the massive ordnance airburst system, otherwise known as the mother of all bombs, was finally deployed in a combat situation. Back in 2002, 2003, I had a very, very small part in its development down in Eglin Air Force Base in Hurlburt Field, Florida. And so it's been kind of surreal because really, I mean, I want to emphasize, I'm not trying to play up my role in it. I basically just made sure that the engines of the aircraft that was carrying the Moab for testing, that the engines were in good shape. So, if bombs and weapon systems had like a credit roll, I'd be like tacked on at the end as like support staff. If you ever watch a movie or an anime or video game, it's just I'm in that massive list of names that you just don't even pay attention to. That you just leave the credits on because you want to just get the achievement for having waited through the credits. I'm basically one of those guys, but still, it's been pretty surreal because despite all of that, I did have some part in the development of this weapon system, and I don't know why, and again, I don't want to play up, but I kind of feel like seeing it deployed in a combat situation, I just have this sense of surreal, on the one hand, I'm glad it's finally been used, but on the other hand, I'm not happy that it's been used in the way it has been, because... we when we were developing the system, it was for a very specific role. It and it was used in that role, it's a very focused weapon meant to take out cave complexes. You drop this okay, so the way this system works is you load it up on an MC-130 and you fly it at night, because the MC-130 flies so slow and so low that you cannot fly it during the daytime, because during the daytime it'll be shot down very easily. So you fly it at night and it drops this gigantic bomb, and it's meant to collapse and take out cave systems, which is what ISIS and the Taliban and various terrorist networks use. And it was used for that. It was used for that exact purpose, which I'm glad. And I'm happy it's used for that exact purpose, because that's really all it's good for. You can't even though it's called the mother of all bombs, you can't use this in carpet bombing or anything. You can't use this as a terrorist weapon, because I'm of the mind that, like, carpet bombing, like with the daisy cutters and what we did in Vietnam and stuff, I kind of see that as a form of terrorism. You can't do that with this bomb, because this is like a sledgehammer. You use this to just take out a very focused and specific target, and that's all it can do. And I'm cool with it being used like that, because that's the intended purpose of this weapon. But the reasons for using it, I don't agree with, because I'm sure the reasons this was used was not to send a message to ISIS or send a message to Russia or whatever. We use this to send a message to North Korea. The same with the attack on the Syrian airbase. We use this to send a message to North Korea. And so I'm just sitting here just like, right now I'm just kind of in a I don't give a fuck mode right now, because it's just like, I don't really I understand I understand the facts of what's going on. Like, there's a lot of political play going on, and there's a lot of saber rattling going on, and I understand that, but I don't agree with it. And because I don't agree with it, I choose not to have an opinion on it. Do you get what I'm talking about, man?
Yes.
Okay.
You, like me, have opinions, and it's not a very good time to be sharing them. So you're not. Yeah,
it's like, from a pragmatic standpoint, from a practical standpoint, I'm glad that the weapon I had a part, granted a very small part, in developing, is being used for that purpose. Again, it was used to take out a cave complex that was used by ISIS, that was used by a terrorist organization that we are at war against. And I'm glad we are using it for that purpose. But the ideology, the politics behind deploying it in the first place is what I don't agree with. And it's just, and because of that, just being in this position just makes me just not want to engage in the current discussion right now. I just, for some reason, and I'm totally fine with the decision. I just don't give a fuck anymore. It's like, you know what, dude? If next week Seoul fucking disintegrates in a wave of nuclear fire, and Pyongyang disintegrates in a wave of nuclear fire, I'll just be like, okay, it finally happened. We were waiting 50, 60 years for this to happen. It's finally happened. We can finally close this chapter on human history. Granted, like 40, 50 million people will have died, but it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't fucking care anymore. I just don't fucking care, dude. God, I just got really fucking deep right there for a second. Did you realize that? I just said it's like, if like 50 million people died next week, I just be like, that just finally fucking happened. Fucking fox tits, man. Fox titties. Fucking Braxton Fox titties in a U.S. lieutenant uniform. Be sure to follow Wild Act Draws for fucking Braxton Fox titties in a military uniform. Ignore the war that's going on on the Korean Peninsula, because by fuck, the time I upload this to YouTube, there'll be a land war on the fucking Korean Peninsula. Fuck it. I wait so goddamn long to upload these things that, who knows, by the time episode 7 of FAPCast goes up, we'll have a land war on the fucking Korean Peninsula. Welcome to 2017, folks. Get ready for the fucking ride. Go subscribe to Filthy Frank. Fuck it.
I would like to state for the record that I had absolutely nothing in the development of that one-sided conversation we just had.
Dude,
the views expressed belong to Deathmech.
Oh my god, dude.
They're not representative of things I post on my blog.
Dude, I speak to an audience of tens of thousands. And the fact that I'm doing this on a podcast that gets less than 100 views is just, it's a crime. Go spread this out. Share it with your friends. God damn it. Oh, God. Welcome to 2017, folks. This is the timeline we're on right now. Hang on for the fucking ride, bro. I suppose I should get into what I've been doing this week, because, well, aside from contemplating the immediate shit, I forgot the word for it. What's the German word for the spirit of the times? Fuck, what the hell is that called? Zeitgeist. Aside from the Zeitgeist, I've been playing more of Nier Automata. And I showed in bullshit this video. It's from a little tiny part of Nier Automata, and I guess I should ask, what's your opinion of this piece that I showed you? This little play.
Oh, so it's linked in the show notes, and it's a bit from Nier Automata or Automata. I still haven't figured out which one of those is the correct pronunciation.
I think either one is good.
But it's from the new Nier game of your character witnessing a bunch of robots put on their own interpretation or rendition of Romeo and Juliet, entitled Romeos and Juliets, and it is a surreal and bizarre experience.
Yeah, and
I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, I don't know either. I will say my favorite line from it is "pisseth off."
Pisseth off.
Yeah. So yeah. Basically, the reason I'm linking this in the meta shit is because I don't want to talk about Nier Automata as its own thing, because I already did that. So basically, what I'm trying to say right now is go, like, either in one of your playthroughs of Nier Automata, if you're playing through it, go do the side quests, because the side quests are so much fun. They're just a lot of fun. And I'll tell you right now, the side quests that the machines give you are 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 the best. The ones that the androids give you, and by the way, you're an android yourself. The ones that the androids give you are super boring and typical, RPG bullshit. But the ones that the machines give you are just their own little stories, and there's just a lot of content right there, and there's just so much fun. It's again, one of the stories is just this video right here of just their interpretation of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, where two of the best lines are "I teareth the shit out of thee" and "pisseth off." So yeah, just get your money's worth out of Nier Automata. Go and play the side quests, especially the ones from the machines, because the ones from the machines are just so fucking good. Another one of the missions, another one of the side quests of the machines has you trekking out into the middle of this desert to find a gigantic robot who identifies as a girl. And so this girl robot went out into the desert to find a part to help her bigger sister. Her older sister is this little tiny robot, and this little sister that you went to go find is a gigantic robot. And the way you know she's the little sister is she has a gigantic pink bow on her head. So you have this giant robot, this giant kaiju level fuck all robot with a pink bow on, and you have to escort this giant robot back home.
Now, I've heard a lot of good things about like all the side quests in the new Nier game, as well as the incredible replayability of the game, just because of how many endings it has.
26 endings.
Jesus.
It's an amazing game. I am so happy that I will say, on one hand, I'm sad that I just now discovered Yoko Taro, but I'm also happy that I finally discovered Yoko Taro, because apparently he's been doing this shit for a long ass time. Drakengard and the original Nier have just as much fucking content.
The first two Drakengard games did have. I mean, I don't think Yoko Taro did Drakengard 2, did he?
No,
I know he did the first
actually,
one.
Actually, yeah, Drakengard 2 was put out by Ubisoft. It's a very different game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like Drakengard 1, Drakengard 3, which is a prequel to Drakengard 1, and Nier are strictly Yoko Taro productions. Though there's a lot of story elements in Drakengard 2 that apply to the other games.
Yeah, Drakengard 2 he was involved in as an editor, but Drakengard 1, Drakengard 3, the original Nier, and the new Nier, he was both a director and a writer for.
Yeah, so he had more of a direct role in those.
He apparently was also a designer for Time Crisis 2. Didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's worked on a lot of projects. So
I haven't played that game in a long ass time. Holy shit, I haven't thought about that game.
Yeah, I played
years.
Time Crisis 4 is a really popular truck stop game because they just have the consoles, and if a truck stop has a game room, then they probably have Time Crisis 4. So I've played a fuckload of Time Crisis 4. and it's not that good of a game. It's a quarter muncher. It's an arcade game. It's designed to make you lose all your fucking money. Fuck you, Time Crisis. I think we talked about it before on the GCC, but I'm still amazed that that fucking horse racing game got so popular over here. And it got so popular strictly in the world of truck drivers. I forgot the name of it. Was it like Equestrian Winning Club by Sega or some shit? Yeah, it was
there's always a cabinet for it at like the really shitty arcades.
Yeah, and there's like always one dude on it. There's like one dude, and he's got like a catalog of cards for all of his horses, and it's just like, okay, you know what? He works his job, he gets his paycheck, and he pays all his bills, and all of his expendable income goes into this fucking game, even though nobody else plays it. It's like, all right, some people play World of Warcraft, some people play, other games, some people, put their expendable income into other hobbies and projects, like gardening or cars or Transformers, like that one YouTuber we both love, Thwin or Thew. What's his name?
Yeah.
Thew. And
Thew Adams, yeah.
Yeah, Thew Adams, and this guy is just gonna fucking sit there at the horse racing game in a shitty fucking truck stop. It's like, go you, dude, go you.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah, welcome to the United States. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. How many minutes are... Okay, oh shit, we're already like 32 minutes into this. We should probably get into our main topic. Or we should probably introduce ourselves, because I don't think we've done that.
Oh, shit, I completely forgot. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fucking
everybody,
amazing...
and welcome to the fucking amazing podcast.
Or for short, FAPCast.
Episode 7. Lieutenant Fox... God damn it.
I'm going to type that in right now.
Podcast title. Yay.
My name is Bullshit, and I am joined by the 50% of the podcast that is not me, Defmech.
Yay, I'm an F. 50%, that's an F.
Well, technically we're both failures in that respect, because this podcast has 2 listeners and we are each at 50%.
Yeah. God damn it! Eventually we're gonna get more listeners. That's just something that's just gonna happen. And
maybe one day.
Yeah. One day that's gonna happen. I will say because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but in the past month or so, it's become very clear that, hey, guess what? YouTube is not a viable career option, 'cause advertisers and shit. So make sure you have a real job. God, please make sure you have a real fucking job. So, yeah, we may get the fans, but we're never going to get rich off of this podcast.
Get rich off of what? Get rich off of talking into a microphone? Ain't nobody does that.
Yeah, nobody fucking does that. I mean, what the fuck? Who thought that was a good idea? Fucking talking into Microsoft, fucking screaming at fucking Slendermans and Five Nights at Freddy's. Who the fuck thought that you could make money off of that shit? Microphones, not Microsoft. I sound like a goddamn grandpa right there. Anyway, we should probably get into our main topic where we magically turn into Polygon level fucking pretentious douchebags with your topic.
Yep, and the topic I forwarded for this week is, and I wrote this title for it out like 5 minutes before, but quantifying our opinions of video games. I figured it'd be a good idea. Since MDefMech and I both have very different opinions on a lot of things, like, for example, war with North Korea. We have a lot of very different opinions about things in video games. And I felt that if we're going to continue, talking about video games on our podcast, which I think we plan on doing quite frequently.
Yeah, because I think we both fall into the category of video gamers.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a /anime here, /anime, since we will probably end up talking about anime as well and other stuff. But I figured it'd be a good idea for us both to talk about the sort of things that we look for in a game or in entertainment that we think of as good. Things that have to be good for us to consider something good.
Yeah, and this could be a really good episode for people to listen to, I mean, aside from all the shit we just talked about, to listen to just to get a grasp on what you focus on and what I focus on.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it's important to understand how for example, a video game reviewer, not that I'm going to say that either of us are or ever will be video game reviewers, but when you look at a video game reviewer or you take in consideration someone who writes about or talks about video games, you take their opinions of a particular video game and use those opinions to decide whether or not to buy a video game. It's usually important to know whether or not the things they like and hate in video games are the same things you like and hate in video games, right? So like, for example, I don't really care for a couple of the reviewers at IGN, as an example. It's not because I think they're bad at their job or anything. I didn't say that. I never said that. Don't quote me on that. It's that the sorts of things that they hold as important for making a video game good are not things that I hold as important for making a video game good. So when they post a review of a video game, I don't care what they think because generally I don't agree with them.
And with me, when I say fuck Kotaku and fuck Polygon, you can quote me on that. Because fuck Kotaku and fuck Polygon. And you know what? Just for good measure, fuck IGN as well. Fuck all of them.
Every single one. They can all fuck off.
They can all fuck off. You know what? But I'll listen to Total Biscuit, but I'll just listen to him when it comes to FPS. The rest of his opinions can fuck off as well. Fuck all of you. That's in bullshit. That's not in bullshit. That's me. God damn it! Why am I betraying myself? That's my opinions.
Anyways, I figured it'd be important for people to know the things that we look at that are important to us in entertainment, so that when we talk about or write our opinions about some form of entertainment, people will know, they didn't like it, but that's okay because they don't like things that I like, or, they like that game, and generally I agree with the things they like in a video game, so, you can know whether or not to actually fucking listen to us. Because the important thing when it comes to any form of criticism of an art or a medium of entertainment, the important thing when it comes to criticism and consumption of criticism is knowing the context in which that criticism was written. So, if you personally think that a critic is a fucking hack, then generally you're probably not going to really care what they think about something. So I think it's important that we just sort of contextualize the sorts of things that we like in entertainment. So that when we do an opinion piece or when we do a whole episode about Persona 5 or something like that, then our opinions or my opinions and your opinions are contextualized.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start. I have a really simple system for judging the worth of something in entertainment, and it's actually the same across video games and films and whatnot. Generally, the same things that I look at. It's just with video games is the added part of it being a game where that you interact with. But generally, it's the same thing with a with a video game. The three things that are most important to me, of course, are story, characters, and gameplay. Sorry, not story, characters, and gameplay. Story, music, and gameplay. Characters are part of story.
Yeah.
And it's in that order: story, music, gameplay. Gameplay is actually often very low on my list of things because for me, story and music together can make up a shitty game. A fine example of that is Psychonauts. Psychonauts has fucking awful gameplay. But its soundtrack is so witty and its story is so entertaining that I have continually forgiven that video game for its gameplay flaws, and have continually forgiven Double Fine as a production company for the same reason. It went out to Brutal Legend the same way. Brutal Legend's gameplay was not very good, but its story and music really, I felt, carried it. And then you may disagree, and that's fine. But that's just how I look at video games. And those three elements are generally what I look at in that order, decide whether or not I'm going to like something. Of course, with anime and movies and stuff like that, you replace gameplay with cinematography and production value. Or if it's an animation quality. For me, like with an animation quality isn't as big as story and music, just like how it is in games with gameplay. Because you can have really shitty animation, and if the story and music are great, for me at least, I feel that you can still have a really good passable show. A fine example of this is the early episodes of Ruby. The early episodes of Ruby have some not so great animation in them, but the story and music, and aesthetic really carried that for me. And I kind of often roll aesthetic into the whole story because aesthetic and narrative, characters, dialogue, all of that is really part of the story of a piece of entertainment when it comes to like a video game or a show. And I find that it's easier to roll all of that into one thing as opposed to, talking about the story and then talking about the characters and then talking about the aesthetic and then talking about the art style. Because really, if you think about it, art style, aesthetic, and characters are all part of the narrative and the narrative itself, and so is the story. Because all of those things are interwoven, especially when it comes into anime. And I feel like it's important to just sort of acknowledge that all those things are together and make a cohesive part of the piece of entertainment, whether it's a film or a video game. And the biggest quantifying part of whether or not I think something is worth enjoying really comes down to when I went and enjoyed this piece of entertainment, if I paid for it, did I feel that those parts that I like liked were worth the money more than the parts I didn't like weren't. And if I didn't pay for it because I was a nasty piece of shit and illegally watched something, streaming, were I to pay for it, the normal price, whether it's a DVD or if it's a movie ticket, would I have that same opinion, of is it worth the money? And that can be anything, like for a video game, there's so many ways that you can break it down for a video game. You can say, for example, did I get my money's worth because of the length of the video game? If I paid $60 for this video game and I got 60 hours out of it, was every hour worth $1? And it's like, if yes, then, favorable review. The same goes for a film. Film is 3 hours and I paid, $10 to get in. Was it worth, was those 3 hours worth $10? If so, yes, favorable review. But it doesn't necessarily have to be length. It can also be, like the quality. Like, for example, or a fine example of that would be something like, I'm trying to think of a really good game that I play. A Journey. Journey is a very short game. But in my opinion, despite that, because of the quality of the game, and because it was so much fun, and because it really felt like it was immersive, and that I really enjoyed the aesthetic of the game, each individual hour or minute of that game for me was worth more money than, for example, maybe a longer game, like Dragon Age Inquisition. But I like both of the games equally because despite not every individual minute of Dragon Age Inquisition being as engaging as Journey, overall, the game was still, worth the same amount of money to me, on average, because there was so much shit you could do in Dragon Age Inquisition, and the impact moments really had impact, and the soundtrack was really good, and all of that. So, to summarize, basically, a piece of entertainment for me is good based on story, music, and gameplay, or story, music, and cinematography or animation quality, in that order for me. And whether or not something is good is dependent on if those three things combined are worth the money I paid for it, or worth the money I should have paid for it if I was a filthy pirate and watched it illegally. Not saying that I am a regular filthy pirate and watch things illegally, but if I did, would it be worth that money I should have paid? Not saying that I do that. I don't do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're totally legal. I mean, what, Kiss anime? We never heard of that. What's this Kiss anime you speak of? You fucking filthy pirate. Let me just say as an aside. So the second you started talking or going off on your monologue, I put in BRB, gonna get more food. So I prepared rice and beef and broccoli, which I just take sirloin beef tips and like a bag of frozen broccoli and just like add a shitload of oyster sauce and various sauces and spices and call it beef and broccoli. I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty tasty to me. And I'm one of those pompous white guys where I have two stages to where I eat Chinese or Japanese food, where I'll start to eat with chopsticks because I'm like, I'm so worldly and cultured, and then eventually I just like give up and just toss the chopsticks aside and eat with a fork or spoon because I'm fucking hungry and I don't want to pretend anymore. But this time, because my first round with this beef and broccoli, I dropped my chopsticks on the ground, and I'm like, I ain't using those again. Those are filthy because they've been on the ground. So for round two, I was like, I have a new packet of chopsticks that I bought at the grocery store. And I made the mistake of, because you know when you buy chopsticks, they come in like a baggie with like a cardboard top that's stapled to the baggie, so that way they can hang it up and shit. So I grabbed it by the middle of the baggie, right in the middle of the chopsticks, and I go to rip off the cardboard top, and I broke all of the chopsticks in it.
Oh my god.
So I'm like, fuck, that's $1.50 just fucking wasted. So I just tossed them all in the garbage, and now I'm eating my beef and broccoli with a fucking fork like a goddamn pleb. Like a goddamn Western pleb in a Chinese restaurant. But anyway, that was an aside. That was just a quick aside. So, just run by me really quick. So what? Just run by me really quick. What your priorities are when you're in a game?
Well, yeah, sure. One more time. It's story, and I consider characters, aesthetic, and art style and narrative to all be part of the same thing. So I'll roll that into story, music, and then gameplay.
Okay, so story, music, and gameplay.
In that order.
Are your focuses in that order?
in that order. Yeah, gameplay being the lowest, but still, it's not that gameplay isn't important. It's just that personally, to me, music and story are more important than gameplay.
Okay, so yeah, with me, it's quite different. With me, and it's not only like priority, but also intensity. So like with me, the quickest way to grab me or to get my attention into something is with graphics or art style. So like a good example is again, Nier Automata versus like Mass Effect Andromeda. I instantly like swayed towards Nier Automata just because the graphics were just very, very good with Nier Automata, as well as the animation and stuff. Whereas with Mass Effect Andromeda, it was... And I know you kind of separated yourself from it and bullshit, but like the whole fucking Waddle and Shrek animations. So that was a big turnoff for me initially. But that's what really grabs me instantly with a game is its graphics. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that a game has to like sexually titillate me or be the most realistic. Like another good example of a game that grabbed me instantly because of its graphics was an adventure game that just came out called Paradigm, which I don't know if you follow like Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie or whatever, but they've played this adventure game, and it's a very ugly game, but its art style is very unique and eye-catching. So it's not that things have to be like titillating or pretty or sexual. It just has to like do something to grab my attention. And that's like that's what will get me interested in your game the fastest, is if it's artistically and graphically interesting, whether it be like Nier Automata or like Paradigm, as long as it's something interesting. But that will again only carry you so far. And so while that's my first and most instant priority, the second, I think, most important thing to me is functionality. It's like, can I run this game, on my laptop? Can I run this game on my PS4 or 3DS or PS Vita? It's like, can I comfortably play this game? Because if I can't, if it involves really awkward or intense button combinations or shit like that, it's like I'm gonna drop the game very, very quickly. It's And I'll be honest, it's like that's why I have so much trouble playing Bloodborne and Dark Souls and stuff. It's just I can't keep up. I can't keep up with what the game expects of me. Same with like MOBAs like Smite and Dota 2 and well, I don't play League of Legends. I love myself too much to play League of Legends. But yeah, it's like if I'm comfortable playing the game, like Nier Automata, it is an intense game, but it doesn't it does not try to punish me if I don't hit the right combinations immediately. So it's like, okay, graphics for the immediate bites, and then gameplay to keep me hanging on. And then finally, so it's graphics, then gameplay, and then finally it's lore. It's lore. Story and lore is what's going to keep me hanging on for the for the long
For
play.
the long haul. Yeah.
For the long haul. It's like, that's why I stick to things like Warhammer 40K for so fucking long. It's like I don't even play Warhammer 40K games anymore. I just stick to the lore because the lore is so fucking good. And it's the same with like Nier Automata. It's like that's why I spend so many hours watching all of these analysis videos for Drakengard and the original Nier game. It's like I'm not going to go back and play those games, but I want to be fully immersed in the world of Drakengard and Nier and all of the stuff that Yoko Taro has crafted and created. It's like it's also why and I know when we initially talked about the game, you were really psyched for it, and I was kind of psyched for it as well. But that's why I don't like Firewatch. Because Firewatch is a fucking gorgeous game. I love Firewatch. It's a beautiful game. It's so goddamn pretty. But the first like cracks were in the gameplay. Because when I played it, there were a lot of bugs. It was like one of the problems I had in Firewatch was my GPS thing turned into a rock. And I couldn't fucking use it. It was a glitch in the game. So that was like the first crack. And then It seemed like they really cheaped out on the story.
Yeah, I will say that it to me Firewatch felt like they forgot that they were it's like when they were writing it, they forgot how much tension they were building up, and then didn't give it a proper release. And it was just sort of a cheap out ending.
I felt really dissatisfied with Firewatch. Now, and that's what I'll say in regards to like Firewatch specifically. It's like go watch a long play of Firewatch, and just get immersed in the artwork, because that's really all that Firewatch has going for it.
Yeah,
I'm sure like the game, because again, like the whole thing with like my GPS thing turning into a rock, that's just that they probably patched that and fixed that, so that's not a non-issue. But the story itself just really kind of let me down. But again, I will say, to give it credit, Firewatch is a fucking gorgeous game. It's such a beautiful game, and it's just, at the very least, go appreciate it for its graphical style. It's graphics. It's a fucking gorgeous game. And as an aside for that, before you just write me off as just like a fucking graphics whore, that's not always a deciding factor for me, because another game, Undertale, it's not a graphically spectacular game. It's not at all. It's Toby Fox is not an artist. He when you look at the graphics of the game, they're very, very basic. It's all very, very basic. There's not much going on graphics wise. But what got me into Undertale was again a lot of people talking. It was a lot of people talking about. That's what got my interest. That's also kind of a minor key factor is how much it's being talked about. That's what will also get me interested, but not nearly as much as graphics. But in regards to things like Undertale, the third factor that I pay attention to, the lore, was just so overwhelming with Undertale. So in the case of Undertale, what got me was the gameplay, because as you know in bullshit, the gameplay for Undertale is very, very unique because it's an RPG game, but it plays.
But it subverts a lot of the tropes.
Yeah, because it plays more like a shmup or like a bullet hell shmup. So that's what kind of caught me, was like the graphics didn't catch me, it was the gameplay that caught me, and then what got me sunk into the game was the lore, was talking about all the stories behind all the monsters and just the general lore of the game itself. So there are specific cases where my expectations can be subverted. So yeah, it's not that what I talked about initially, graphics, gameplay, lore. While that's what I generally go into when I go into a video game, those can totally be subverted in special cases, such as Undertale.
Yeah. And
I will say as an aside, because I feel this does need to be mentioned, especially in the current cultural and social media climate, things like sexuality and gender do not play into whether or not I like a game. I don't focus on that stuff. It's nice fluff, and going back to Undertale, like I guess I can spoil this because it's been long enough, but there's one battle in the Hotlands of Undertale, like in the Hotlands where you have those two dude bros, those two like knight dude bros.
Yeah.
And the way you complete the battle on a pacifist or non-violent run is you make the one dude bro really hot. So he takes off his armor, and when he takes off his armor, the other knight dude bro gets really hot and bothered, and they sort of admit to each other that they have like really strong feelings for each other. And it's like, oh hey, these two guys, these two dude bros, they really have this thing with each other, and well, they're fucking gay for each other. It's like that's nice fluff, but that doesn't focus in on whether or not I think a game is good. Because, and the only reason I mention that is because that seems to be something people really fucking focus on right now, and it's like, that doesn't fucking, if you want to put diverse characters in your game, just fucking do it. Don't focus. The best way to put diversity in your game is just put it in the game and let people discover it for themselves. I think that's the best way I can say that. It's like, if you want to have a diverse game, just put it in there and don't make a big deal about it. Because if you make a big deal about it, a lot of people are going to get turned off about it. That's just what I think. I don't know what you think in bullshit. That's whatever your opinions are. That's your opinions.
Oh yeah, going back. Well, I mean, as on a personal note, struggles in gender identity and sexuality are stories that I am personally interested in. So that does factor into my enjoyment of a game. See also the entirety of Persona 4.
Yeah.
but I don't think it's important. It's just a personal thing that I have a vested interest in. But going back to what you were saying about graphics and performance, I will say this: performance actually. This is going to sound weird. Performance actually isn't as big a thing for me. I really only care whether or not I can actually run the game. Because if I can't run the game, then I have no opinions about it because I can't play it. Fine example of this: Pillars of Eternity. To this day, I have never been able to get Pillars of Eternity to run on my computer. And I have watched many Let's Plays of it, and I am eternally jealous that other people can play that game and I can't. But for that reason, I haven't really talked about or passed any real judgment on the game because I just can't play it. When it comes to graphics, I actually I don't really care about graphics. I'm more of an aesthetics guy.
Yeah.
Again, a fine example of that would be what would be Undertale, actually.
Yeah.
Would be a great example of that. Undertale had an incredible aesthetic, I thought. Whereas graphically it was, by all accounts, pedestrian.
Yeah, I guess with me is just sort of I wrap graphics and aesthetics into one thing because again, like I said, I really like Nier Automata because it's graphically very appealing. Both in theme because it's a very post-apocalyptic theme, which is just fucking if you want me to be interested in your fucking game, just set it fucking 20,000 years in the future. My dick perks up for that shit. But also aesthetics as well, because games like Paradigm, which is also very graphically beautiful, but also a very fucking ugly game. It's a very ugly game, but it's very aesthetically pleasing. Mm-hmm. I guess to make sense for that is to just Google Paradigm game and go just look at screenshots for it because it's a very until you look at Paradigm itself, you won't make sense of what I'm saying. So just right now on your phone or your computer right now, just open up another tab and just type in Paradigm game. And you'll see it. It's that weird, quirky Russian adventure game that's it's gross, but you can't look away from it. But yeah, that's just with me. That and again, I think this is a very necessary episode so people know where we're coming from when we talk about video games. Because I think that's something that, in light of recent politics within video games, is one of the core contentions is that people don't understand where other people are coming from. It's where readers and consumers of video games don't understand where the journalists and reviewers and the so-called purveyors of video game criticism, they don't know where they're coming from. And I think for us in our tiny, tiny little sphere of influence, we need to clarify where we're coming from and what we judge a game on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it's important because I know that we do have some people who listen to us because we talk about video games and anime, and I think it's important to understand where we're coming from when we judge. Because both Deathmech and I we're going to come up against the two of us disagreeing on anime and games all the time, just because we have completely different tastes. And I think it's important to understand where both of us are coming from, so that if you're the kind of person who waits until you hear what other people say about something before picking it up, you know that if we say we like something or if we say we dislike something, generally where we're coming from when we say those kinds of things, so you know whether or not to actually listen to us or to completely ignore what we're saying. Yeah. Because there are plenty of people who who I follow, and I read their reviews, but I know that there are certain genres of music, for example, that they just hate. So like when they write about an album or something that has recently come out that they think is terrible, I go, oh, I don't need to listen to them because they just automatically hate this kind of thing. So I'll figure it out myself. Something like that.
Yeah. It's like, just an aside, when it comes to music, my first authority for me personally is Anthony Fontano, of the Needle Drop. That's where I go to for musical opinions. And I know he's very contentious, in the sphere of music. But that's my interest in music align with his very well. Likewise with video games, it's like, even though I don't agree with Jim Sterling on many things, I agree with him when it comes to video games and whether or not I'm interested in playing them. Because if Jim Sterling says a game is good, then there's a good chance that I will probably like the game as well, regardless of how I agree with him on any other things, which does not fucking matter because I only go to Jim Sterling to read about video games. I don't care about anything else he has to say. And I think that's important. I think that's something important. It's like, you can disagree with me on many things, but as long as I just had a total fucking brain fart right there, dude. I'm sorry. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's like, just you don't have to be perfectly in sync with somebody to agree with them. Yeah. That's all I have to say right there.
All right, and I think with that, we can move on to our cool shit segment, unless you have any objections to that.
Well, okay, I guess just a really quick recap. Just a super cliff notes. MDevMech, his priorities in the game are graphics / aesthetics, then gameplay / playability, then lore. Now, in Bullshit, what are your priorities in the game?
Priorities are story, which includes aesthetic and characters, writing, narrative, music, and then gameplay.
Okay, there are your cliff notes. So
excellent.
That's when you go into and in fact, what I'll do is when we upload this episode in the sidebar, I'll put a little thing for video game reviews, and that'll be like what we focus on, so that way there's no fucking any kind of issue or disagreement and what we're about. We're just we show ourselves right up front. So there's no ambiguity there. I think that's the best way we can present ourselves in regards to video game and anime reviews. So, yeah, on to the cool shit.
With that, we move on to the cool shit segment.
I'm sorry, but I just want to clear. I'm in that part.
No, it's good to have a recap at the end of every segment so that we make sure that all the points came across, especially if one of us is half asleep and the other one is drunk.
Which
I just had a 12-hour day at work running around driving cars, so.
And I had a bottle of Absolute Vodka, so it's pretty much the same fucking thing.
All right, with that, we move on to our cool shit segment. As always, every week, this is a segment where we link, I think our number this time is 2 things, each of us, that we think are cool that we found throughout the week. And of course, all the links you can find in our show notes, which are posted in the description boxes for the YouTube videos, which our podcasts are mainly posted on. We'll also post links to the show notes.
That guitar's on fire.
in our Tumblr posts and blog posts as well. My first piece of cool shit, as I will start us off this week, is a music video for the song Thunderhead by the band The Native Howl. And this is a fun little subgenre of music that I just recently started getting into. that is affectionately called thrash grass, which is bluegrass music with a
This is
distinctly
amazing.
thrash metal flair. And I fucking love this band. This band is incredible. They have an album out called Thrash Grass. It's their second most recent album. And it really is just like, what if Metallica was a bluegrass band? Like, there's no better way of putting that. I love this band to death. They're absolutely hilarious. And bluegrass is one of my secret, like, things, one of my dirty secret, like, genres of music that I absolutely adore. And so this band just sort of scratches a very, very unique itch for me.
Oh god, playback devices. Turn down Google Chrome. Holy shit. Hang on. Let me turn on the volume mixer. Cause I want to have this playing in the background. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I can hear you in bullshit. Holy shit, that professionalism.
This band and this particular song, dude, is just absolutely hilarious. They have both aesthetics down.
Oh, he has a gun.
Very well.
He has a gun. There's guns in this. Sorry.
Anyways, the song is Thunderhead, the band is The Native Howl, and the album this song is from is called Thrash Grass, which is also the affectionate name for this sort of subgenre of music.
They just stole some horses. No, this is great. I love musical fusions like this. Like, all right, I'll go ahead and pause it. One group I really love is Apocalyptica.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Apocalyptica, and Apocalyptica is classical, is metal using classical instruments like cellos and violins and stuff. It's a really cool fusion, and so I'm totally down with this. I'm totally down with thrash grass. Even though that oh god, that just the mouthfeel of saying thrash grass.
Thrash grass. It sounds like something you shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Like two words that shouldn't be together.
Yeah, like, okay, like classical metal. That just rolls off the tongue just fine. So it's like Apocalyptica, classical metal, just fine. The Native Howl, thrash grass. It's just like I'm biting into like a broom. And just having each individual like grass stalk just wedged in my teeth and just full of dust. It's just ugh. Oh, this really pushes at my comfort levels. Yeah. This music video is a lot of fun to watch because it's like they have their hardcore bluegrass, and then they got like a bunch of guns and they steal some horses.
It's very American. It's a very American music video.
You just remind me because earlier today I was watching a bunch of Thew's reviews. Thew Adams was a guy you plugged.
The one who does the toy reviews. Yeah,
and I was watching one of his episodes where he got a care package from a dude in Texas with a bunch of toys, and he got like a bag of I think they were called like beaver bits or something, beaver bites. And it was basically like caramel popcorn, and he was just like, because he read it and it was like beaver bites, and then he read the ingredients list. It's like sugar, syrup, butter, and he's like, oh yeah, this is fucking America. Sugar, syrup, and butter. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I was kind of marathoning Thew Adams earlier today. So, all right, on to my cool thing. My first cool thing is this channel by this guy called Lemino, and he does mostly what he does is top 10 videos, but unlike other channels like Watch Mojo and like Top 15, he really puts a lot of emphasis on narrative and so like his top 10 videos are, while they are list videos, he kind of tells a story. So when he talks about like top 10 facts about Overwatch, he doesn't just like say like, okay, number 10 is this fact about Overwatch, and number 9 is this fact about Overwatch. It's like he tells a story about Overwatch and links the facts together in a narrative, and it's a very well made video series. And he also does documentaries where he talks about things like artificial intelligence and things like the dark web and nuclear weapons and stuff. I guess what I'm trying to say is that he and you can tell he makes these top 10 videos out of a passion, because he doesn't upload a ton of videos. Like, he doesn't upload a video every day or every week. He uploads a video when he finishes.
When he fucking finishes one, yeah. I can see that he has a very sporadic release. Not even a schedule. You can't even call it. This is release lineup.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, he does top 10 videos, but he does top 10 videos in a very narrative, story-driven way. A very unique and interesting way. Like, you can tell he's not just cranking these out just to get the fucking views. He invests a lot of time into making quality videos, despite them being list videos. And that's why I'm recommending him as a cool shit, because he really puts a lot of work into what he does. He's very passionate about what he does, and I think he deserves to be recognized for it. And in fact, despite us having our tiny viewership and fan base, because let me go click on his channel again. Yeah, he has been recognized. He has 2.4 million subscribers. So still, I want to give props where props are due. So yeah, let me know. He does top 10 videos in a very unique style, and you would definitely benefit from subscribing and watching a few of his videos.
So my final piece of cool shit is a channel that is entirely in Japanese. However, each individual video does have English subtitles. And this woman is crazy because she puts out a video every day.
Okay. Hang on. I just clicked on her YouTube page, and this woman needs help because she's in a video and she's got 6 bowls of ramen in front of her. That's way too many bowls of ramen for anybody, especially within 10 minutes.
So
she needs help.
This is the YouTube channel of Kinoshita Yuka, who is a YouTube personality who eats. That's it. She fucking eats, and she eats like a goddamn fucking pro, too. I mean, this woman, is it possible to be in love with a concept? Yes, and that concept that I am in love with is Kinoshita Yuka. I mean, this channel stems from what's the word? A trend that came from South Korea known as mukbang, which was this sort of live streaming of people eating and making food,
which is surprisingly popular on Twitch now.
Yeah, surprisingly popular and also very interesting study in culture, but that's a discussion for another time. This is the sort of Japanese short form video answer to that of this woman who basically runs a one-man Japanese epic mealtime where she puts a bunch of food together and eats all of it on camera. And man, does she eat, and man, does she eat every day. So
I'm looking through the thumbnails of her videos, and she does like the epic mealtime thing of showing the calorie counts in each thumbnail.
Yeah.
Concerning what she is eating, she should not be doing that. She should just be showing the sodium count. Because in the autoplay on her channel page, she's got 6 bowls of ramen. That's easily 12,000 milligrams of sodium right there. Holy fucking shits! Because you figure
There's one where she orders, I think, 15 hamburgers from McDonald's or something like that. They were having a promotional thing. Here it is. I will link you the video so you can see it. Be aware, like you have to go every time you go click on these videos. You do have to reselect English subtitles, but there is English subtitles available for every single video that she does, which I think is actually really cool. But I'm gonna link you, MDef, make this one. It's an episode where she gets let me see here. McDonald's 20 McChickens and 15 orders of McNuggets, I think is what this is. And she just eats them. She eats them all. I am a firm believer in the idea that after she films every one of these videos, she goes and just horks it all back up, because there's no way any one person could be eating this much food on a daily basis. This much terrible food on a daily basis.
Yeah, because I'll admit, yesterday I went to Burger King with a friend of mine, and I got a 10-piece nuggets at Burger King and 2 Whopper Juniors, and I ate those and I felt like shit. And yeah. I am a obese American. So yeah, she's definitely fucking puking this shit up.
Yeah, there's also a video where she eats like 24 whole donuts by herself.
Okay, I'm looking in the sidebar of the recommended videos. McDonald's 20 pork and ginger burgers, Yaki plus 5 Mega Mac, 5.2 kilograms. All right, for our Americans here, that is 13 pounds of McDonald's. 5.2 kilograms is 13 pounds. I can bet, like, if I like gorge myself on McDonald's, that's like 1.5 pounds of McDonald's, and I feel like a fucking pig. She's eating 13 pounds of McDonald's. Like with me, it's like, again, like two McDoubles and a 10-piece chicken McNugget, and I feel so goddamn ashamed when I do that. It's like, this little Korean woman is eating 13 pounds of McDonald's.
Anyways, yeah, I highly recommend this YouTube channel just to check it out, because it's entertaining. The host has a very bubbly and fun personality. And,
I think that's what's catching most people to watch her, is her personality.
And she's very enthusiastic about food, and that's very fun. And then you get down to the actual meat of the episode, and you sit there horrified as she proceeds to eat 13 pounds of food, and you're like, oh, no.
Please
don't do that.
Don't.
Please don't die.
Yeah, we need you to fight in the war with North Korea. That's gonna happen. Please don't. Anyway, on to my thing. My final cool thing is this. It's another Japanese channel that's all Japanese, but they do have English subtitles. And it's a channel called Toko Toko, and it's basically a channel where they go around and they interview Japanese game developers and indie game developers and Japanese artists and people in the anime industry, and they interview them and they talk about where they've been and what inspires them and what they're trying to do.
This is kind of a neat little sort of like mini documentary series.
Yeah. What got me into them was
Yoko Taro. Episode 49, Yoko Taro, game creator. I'm looking at that right now, and I was like, I bet she found this because of fucking Nier.
yes, exactly. It was fucking Yoko Taro was the reason I got into this channel. I started watching more of their channels. Like, I think I hope it was them, because I think they did an interview with a guy who did Downwell as well. It may or may not have been them. Because, I discovered them because of fucking Yoko Taro, and then I marathoned a bunch of episodes. But I just want to say I think this is a really good channel just to get, because I will say personally, the indie game dev scene is very Western centric. Like, it's very focused on what's coming out of Europe and North America, and just kind of need to remember that Japan is there as well. While most people, when they think of Japanese video games, they think of the large corporate entities such as Capcom and Namco and Square Enix and Nintendo. That you need to remember that there's also a lively indie game scene, and with that, and you get into this channel because of the game devs such as Yoko Taro, and then you discover there's a dude who is an artist who his canvas is cookies, and then you discover another artist who crafts bicycles, and another one who crafts ceramic pots. This channel really focuses on the artistic endeavors of Japanese of the country of Japan, which I don't think gets a lot of attention, especially here in the West. So, yeah.
Especially since, when you talk about art from Japan, it's almost always referring to entertainment from Japan.
Yeah,
and there isn't as much talk generated about mediums of art in Japan that aren't animation and video games. There are so many other great avenues of art in Japan. Painting, for example.
Yeah, painting, pottery, again,
sculpture.
Sculpture, and like I said, cookie art. The guy who bakes cookies and baking and chefs and stand-up comedy, and electronic music, and this is a really good. It's a Japanese-centric YouTube channel that also, through the use of well-made subtitles, caters to a Western audience as well. And I think, if you're gonna be a weeaboo, if you're gonna be a good weeaboo, then you need to also pay attention to other parts of Japan as well.
If you're gonna be a fucking weeb, you gotta go hard.
Yes, you can't just be about Monster Musume and fucking Final Fantasy 15. You gotta get into fucking Paranel, the musician, and Shichiro Kobayashi and Yaka Matsuno and the Mont Blancs. fucking roll deep, nigga. So yeah, Toko. Even if you're not a fucking weeb, it's really fun to get a perspective from another country and another culture. So, yeah, that's my last cool thing.
All right, and with that, it brings us just about the end of our episode. So thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can find us at our various blogs, which I will not list. I'm definitely can list his though.
Yeah, I've listed my blogs and also where you can go watch these episodes. There's a playlist on there so you can watch previous episodes of the FAPCast. And I also I'm specifying my art Tumblr because I'm starting to gain some traction on my art Tumblr because I'm not just drawing anthro characters with gigantic tits. I'm also delving into more, I guess, surrealist kind of stuff. And also my shitposting Tumblr, which for some fucking reason has had 30,000 notes in the past month. Because guess what? Memes are life, bro. Memes make the world go round, and I'm not proud of that at all. It actually okay, here for comparison, my art Tumblr has gotten 200 notes over the past 30 days. My shitposting blog has gotten 32,647 notes in the past 30 days. So, and about 29,000 of those were from a screenshot of a post I made on Twitter, which said tweet got 15 likes and 10 retweets. So I am not proud of that at all. It's empty fame. It's empty fame. So yeah, that's welcome to the world of FAPcast. You do an outro this time in bullshit. I've done the outros before.
I'll be really close to my mic. I'll say bye.
Bye bye.